So controlling hunger when dieting. How do we do it? How do we control our hunger as best as we possibly can when it comes down to dieting and dropping body fat as well? So this is probably one of the most common reasons that I see so many people actually give in on their diet in the first place is not being able to control the hunger, always being like starving, always feel like they could run to the cupboards and just absolutely eat everything as well. So today I'm going to be taking you over step by step exactly what I would be doing and what I do myself on my own fat loss journey to reduce hunger as much as I possibly can, especially when eating on lower calories as well, and of course moving more. So let's waste no time and let's get ourselves into this as well. And first of all, first thing that you want to be focused on is including protein in every single meal as well. One of the biggest things that I see people not doing is this. It's always carbohydrates and fat based. There's not much protein based in a lot of people's meals. So this is where we need to start before anything else. I want you to aim anywhere between 30 to 40 gram of protein per meal. Of course, this varies depending on what your protein goal is, but straight away you should be looking to implement anywhere around 30 to 40 gram of protein in every single meal of your day as well. And of course, if your protein goal is maybe over 150, I'd maybe look at maybe increasing that number to 40 to 55 gram of protein per meal as well. The main reason for that is protein takes the longest time to digest compared to your other macros, i.e. carbohydrates and fats, right? So this is the one macro. Think about it: steak, chicken, absolutely anything like meat based. How much fuller you tend to feel off the back of it, but also how much longer it takes to digest. Sometimes you can feel it taking its time to digest. This is why it keeps you so full and so satisfied, because it takes so long to break down as well. So this is something that if we implement into our day to day and into our meal to meal, it's going to massively support being able to actually control our hunger levels as well, because carbs aren't as satiating as protein, as we've mentioned there. So including a solid balance within each meal will help you stay full and satisfied. So this is where, when you go back years and years and years, they show you the plate of a good cut of fats, carbohydrates, protein, like fruits, veg, and so forth, and of course meats and protein. This is why people show you this, because straight away, if you can have a good solid balance in every single meal, this is massively going to support your obviously feeling satisfied, B, being satiated, feeling full, and of course it's going to be able to help you actually stay on track overall and actually adhere to your deficits as well. So straight away, of course, if we're just filling our day with carbs, like I speak to a lot of people, what do you have for breakfast? Toast. And I'm like, no wonder you are hungry, because your whole morning is evolved around just eating carbs, and carbs aren't the enemy, but they're not filling. So this is why, for example, you are now starting to see a lot more like yogurt bowls, bacon medallions, chicken sausages implemented into people's breakfast. Utilising things like this will massively help you keep yourself satisfied and of course satiated right the way throughout the morning, and of course right the way throughout the day as well. So step number 2, nail your meal time, and time is ticking. Literally, your body naturally works best on routine, right? You know that, I know that. Our bodies work best on routine. So just as a sleeping pattern, you create an eating pattern which your body then adapts to. So establishing meal times that work consistently with your day to day can really support regular hunger. So for example, think about it. If you're eating at 8 a.m. one day, 10 a.m. the next day, and then 9 a.m. the following day after, and then not till 12 p.m. the following day after that, in terms of like meal one, your body is never ever going to regulate to when that first meal is going to come in. So it's always going to be essentially going through that hunger sort of stage as well. It's always going to be like, right, okay, like for myself, I literally, this right example at the bottom, an example for this is actually my own example for something I do myself. Meal 1 at 10 a.m, meal 2 at 2 p.m, meal 3 at 6 p.m, and then 8 p.m. I normally have a snack / meal 4. And what this allows me to do is my body every single day is start actually being able to regulate with those hunger levels. The hunger levels start to kick in at that point within the day as well. So establishing meal time is going to be super important, but also my advice here is spreading out your meals every 3 to 4 hours, and potentially we're going to touch upon in a moment what you can do within those gaps to keep the hunger sort of at bay and also satisfied, if you really want to say that, within the gaps of those meals as well. So something I definitely recommend that you do off the back of this video is nail down your meal times that work best in your day as well, because I just want to give you a little bit of an insight upon this as well, and we are going to be touching upon this, and we're going to have a little bit of a look at this on the iPad now, so just bear with me 1 second. So I'm going to show you this in a little bit of a time perspective. So if we just flip over to the iPad here, so straight away, as you'll be able to see, right, as we talk about meal timings, 10 a.m, 2 p.m, 6 p.m, 8 p.m, there's a 4-hour gap between each one of those, and of course, give and take the last meal of the day, 8 p.m, due to sleeping schedule, right? But let's say you start eating at 7 a.m, right? 7 a.m, meal 1, and then 2 p.m, meal 2, just put an M2, M1, and then let's say 8 p.m, meal 3, right? Most people tend to have 3 meals in a day. As you can start to see now, look at the gap between meal 1 and meal 2, and meal 2 and meal 3. It's a really big gap. So if we look at this, right, that is what, nearly 7 hours between meal 1 and meal 2. So let's say you start work at 8 a.m. A lot of people will eat really, really early in the morning, but then they'll be absolutely ravenous come lunch and go completely off plan. But as you can see, with that meal gap and within that meal time, there's 7 hours between each meal. And then if we go to this meal 2 to meal 3, there's 6 hours between this as well. So it's really important to establish what would work best within your day that can sort of keep your meal times every 3 to 4 hours, just to be able to regulate that hunger levels as best as we possibly can as well. Because something I'll always say to my own clients, and potentially to yourself as well, is if we're eating at like 6 a.m. in the morning, then not eating until 2 p.m, expect to be absolutely ravenous anywhere between that gap, like really, really, really hungry. And the more hungry we are, the more we start to crave, the more we start to want to reach for quick, easy, high carbohydrate, put your teeth back in, high carbohydrate foods, for example, chocolate bars, crisps. We start to want snackier things, but as we mentioned a little bit earlier, these are not actually going to be satisfying for our needs of actually making sure that we keep our hunger level at bay as well. So something that I would definitely recommend as well there is nailing down your meal timings. That is if you haven't done so already. So let's just flick back to the computer straight away and let's go on to the next tip that we can go with here. So a solid sleeping pattern. This is really important. So developing a sleeping pattern, this is very similar to developing your meal timing pattern as well. So why is this important? You may be sat there thinking, well, while we sleep, our hunger hormone, which is called ghrelin, by the way, is regulated, which helps reduce cravings and hunger for the following day. If you get a good quality sleep, 7 to 9 hours of sleep are advised as well. So if you get that quality 7 to 9 hours of sleep and you are in a really good structure with your sleep, you'll find yourself with less cravings and feeling less hungry the following day. However, if you are continuously sleeping 3 hours, sleeping 4 hours, sleeping 2, sleeping 6, sleeping 4, sleeping 5, you are going to really, really start to feel the cravings and the hunger kicking as well. And this is why after poor sleep, hunger can be higher the following day. So think about it. Every single time you've had a bad sleep, you wake up the next day craving more food, you want more carbs, which is a natural thing. You know, you're tired, you need energy. Hunger levels are higher, you know, our cravings are higher. This is because obviously through the night our hormones regulate, and our hunger hormone called ghrelin will regulate through the night time as well. So this is why it's super important to be getting a quality sleeping pattern as well. So 7 to 9 hours, whatever time you go to bed, ideally recommending that 7 to 9 hours timestamp as well. Of course, that's going to be different to every single individual, but if you time these side by side with a solid sleeping pattern and of course a solid meal timing pattern, this is going to make a massive, massive difference to regulating your hunger levels throughout the day. So next one of my favourite ones, one of my favourite sayings, right? And I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you an example of this on the iPad in a moment. Is when you are thinking of food, think bang for your buck. So you want to get the best bang for your buck, right? So you want to be like, for example, you lay a lot of things on, like, let's say advertisements on TV, right? So like you want to be getting the best for your money and best for your calories. That's how I like to see it as well. Like, are we actually gonna? So if I go and put 500 calories on a meal, am I getting quality for that, or am I just getting stuff that's actually gonna leave me, really, really hungry after it, not satisfied, not full, therefore gonna make me want to go back for more? This is what's super important. So are you getting the best bang for your buck? So what do I mean by this? And let me show you a little bit of a quick example of this, right? Okay, so first things first, if we have a little bit of a look at like bang for your buck, right, and we want to look at this in a food way. So I've got the iPad right here, right? So let's have a little bit of a sit and think about this. So your average McDonald's burger, right, is probably anywhere between 500 and 600 calories, okay? So that is like your average calories per, let's say, Big Mac. So that's like your average calories. So I just want to give you a little bit of an insight of what is the same amount. And I know this off the top of my head because this is a meal that I have every single day, right? So this is very, very similar calories. So you can have all of this for one Big Mac. So you can have 250 gram of potato. You can also have 250 gram raw chicken breast. You can also have 150 gram broccoli. 50 gram of gravy, which is the goat, by the way. Wow, absolutely. I can't, those who know me know gravy is my go-to. And then on top of that, I actually normally add like 10 gram of Flora Light just to, you know, add a little bit of creaminess to the mash. Okay, so as you can see, this actually adequate to like 506 calories. 506 calories, and your average Big Mac will go anywhere between 500 and 600, and will have minimum half of the protein within this as well. So your Big Mac will probably have around 30 to 35 gram of protein, tops maybe a little bit less. This meal here has got around 75 gram of protein in. So when I say bang for your buck, this is exactly what I mean. Same as if we scroll down a little bit more, right? So another really perfect example of this. So I have a yogurt bowl on a day-to-day basis, and trust me, I used to be very, very similar like you. I used to be trying to implement like Maltesers, snacky bits in there, trying to make all like these diet hacks. But all I was doing was leaving myself extra hungry by doing this. So really good example of this, right? So this is where you'll hear a lot of people say implementing fruits and veg into your diet is super important. So if we have a little bit of a look at this, I know, for example, 200 gram of strawberries is 60 calories, okay? So that's 60 calories. And I believe 200 gram of raspberries, I probably butchered it there. Anyway, we'll work with it. So 200 gram of strawberries and 200 gram of raspberries, right? 60 calories and around 55 calories. So as you can see here, for 115 calories, you are getting 400 gram of food into your stomach. 400 gram. Right, and here's another little bit of a quick one. So the other day I walked into the Tesco's, right, walked into the shop, and they brought out these brand new Twirl crispy rolls, right, and they are 22 gram for a pack, 22 gram in the entire pack, right. There is 123 calories in that pack. I just want to leave that with you there. As you can see, for 400 gram. Think about it. Think about size. If you had 400 gram of chopped up fruit right in front of you, think about how much space that would take up, and that is going into your stomach. Think about how much space that is going to take up in your stomach. For your buck, for 120, 110 calories, think about how much more you are getting compared to if you were to spend 110 calories, 123 calories on this. 23 gram, which is literally, if you crushed it up, it'd be not even a palm size of food. And yeah, I know what you sat there thinking, but Mark, I'd rather have the twirl. Well, of course we'd all much rather prefer, probably a good 10% of people wouldn't, but a lot of us would prefer, something a little bit, let's say, gives us more short-term gratification, a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of sweet stuff, right? That's a natural thing that a lot of us like. However, if we're sat there and we're thinking in diet in terms, which one of these two is actually going to keep us full? Which one of those two is actually going to regulate our hunger levels? Which one of those two is going to keep us satisfied right away throughout the day? Which one of those as well is high in fibre and is going to support digestion? This right here. So as you can see here, this is exactly what I mean by when I say think bang for your buck. So let's say, same thing, if you have 500 calories, compare the meals. Can you get more for 500 calories, or are you going to settle for less for 500? Same as if you had £500. Whether you're going to spend £500 on a pair of socks, or do you want to spend £500 on a pair of shoes, socks, jeans, t-shirt and a jacket? That's bang for your buck. Hopefully that makes sense as well, and this is exactly how I like to look at my own nutrition on a day-to-day basis. Last but not least, water and caffeine is your best friend, something that I always suggest people utilise. You may wonder why you see a lot of people consuming Coke Zero, Diet Coke, black coffee, white Monster, wild dieting, right? So this is a really big thing. Alongside making sure you hit a minimum of 2 litres of water per day, this can massively help you reduce and suspend your hunger levels. So caffeine is a natural hunger suppressant. So that's why you will see a lot of people naturally, and funny enough, as recording this YouTube video, I have actually got a Pepsi Max with me right now, and this is something that will suspend my hunger right the way up until about, let's say, 5:30 p.m, 6 p.m. when I have my next meal. So that is something that will pass me by while I'm working, while I'm busy. So if you're someone that's, passing through with the day or sat at the desk all day, utilising things like these is massively beneficial as well, because it will just reduce that hunger level just for that gap between your meals. So as you'll remember me saying earlier within this training, between the gaps of your meals, utilising things like this will naturally help you pass time and pass that hunger a little bit further back within the day as well. And of course, don't just be always utilising like caffeine-based drinks. Like, utilise water. When I ask people, are you drinking enough water? I've got loads of cravings. I'm really hungry and I just want sweet things and I just want to eat more food. Are you actually consuming water or not? Because what you sometimes think is hunger can actually be thirst pains. Hunger pains and thirst pains will feel very, very similar. But I'll always advise you, when you feel like you're feeling hungry, go and have some water. If after like sort of 5 minutes or so that pain doesn't go, that hunger pain doesn't go, then it's definitely hunger. If it feels satisfied after having a little bit of a bottle of water or some liquids, then there is your answer. It could have been a dehydration/thirst pain as well. So hopefully that helps. Last but not least, let's set the record straight and let's just do a little bit of a drop the mic moment here as well. So Hunger is completely normal when dieting. This is what sometimes people forget. Sometimes we just have to sit with it. This is how I think of it. Hunger equals we are in a calorie deficit. Us being in a calorie deficit means fat is being lost. This is exactly how I like to think about it. Hunger equals the job is getting done. The deficit is working. The deficit is working. That means we are going to be dropping body fat. That's exactly how I like to look at it. Instead of like getting really flustered and getting really on top of myself, hunger, it can be a sign of the deficit really kicking in, and of course body fat coming down. If you're always feeling massively full and bloated and quite satisfied a lot of the time, you don't even feel like an ounce of hunger, more than likely you're probably going to be sat in a maintenance as well, depending on what your hunger is like as well, which of course is super important note. So let's just set that record straight at the very end of this training. Hunger is completely normal. However, utilising all of these 5 tips, I believe it's 5 tips that I've implemented there, will massively help you be able to control this for the best way that you possibly can, right the way throughout your dieting phase, because the last thing that you want is always giving into hunger when dieting, because it's a natural feeling and it's a natural thing that is going to happen when you are dieting as well, because your body is in a deficit. It needs more food, but to, of course, drop body fat, we need to be not eating less food, but eating less calories. Hopefully that helps. Like I said, hopefully there is actually going to be a little bit of a link to the bottom of this, it's a little bit of a link to the bottom of this YouTube video as well. Basically giving you a breakdown of a 7-day free fat loss kickstart course as well, which will massively help you actually be able to set up your calories, but will also, for a lot of people as well, being able to actually manage meals out and actually be able to manage hunger when out. This is also going to be massively beneficial to you as well. So if you're someone that wonders how you can control your hunger while, for example, a social event is coming up in the evening time, the answer to you is in the description below as well. So hopefully this has helped, and I'll catch you on the next one. Let's go.